Chapter 8. Kai. Their knees are touching. The coach jostles again, only sliding them closer together. I'm sitting opposite the royal couple, knee bobbing and head tipped against the high back of my rumbling seat. This particular coach is open to the sky, as though the top half of it has been cut clean off. Several decorated carriages trail behind and before us, all draped in green banners wearing Ilya's swirling crest. A soft breeze ruffles the hair falling over my forehead, forcing my fingers to continually comb through it. Sun pours over us to peer nosily at the uncomfortable, silent seating arrangement. Leaning an elbow on the shortened door, I lift a hand to shield my eyes. And she's the first thing my gaze lands on. The sun's golden rays intertwine with her silver hair, weaving down the short length of it to thoroughly blind me. Her body is wrapped in emerald, the fabric clinging to her hips, draping her legs, and the knee that still touches his. I look away, drumming fingers that wish to touch her on the ledge. "It's a beautiful day," she says, out of what sounds like discomfort. "Perfect for the parade." "Yes, we couldn't have asked for better weather," Kit agrees distantly. "Don't you think, brother?" His tone changes drastically when aimed at me, now light and cheery. My eyes lift to his, finding a familiar glint of mischief in them. "Why, yes, I do love cooking beneath the sun." Kit cracks a smile at that before murmuring dully towards Peyton. "Kai has never been good with heat, you know. When we were boys..." "All right, that's enough," I cut in, despite the smile beginning to stretch across my lips. No," Peyton says slyly. "No, I'd very much like to hear the story. Do go on." "When we were boys," Kit continues, his grin aimed at me, "he could barely stand to be outside for more than an hour. Any longer, and he'd clutch his head, convinced that his hair was going to melt." Peyton's laughter forces me to raise my voice. "Do you know how hot my hair gets? It's like tar sitting in the sun," Kit finishes, addressing his next words to Pei. "Yes, that was the other bit he always used to say." I lean back, shaking my head at him in disbelief. Plagues, is there no secrecy amongst brothers anymore? The king resembles the boy I grew up with in this moment. "Oh, there certainly is." My eyes flick to Peyton's smile, and suddenly it all seems very much worth it. "That was very insightful and entertaining." Her smile widens wickedly. "Please, continue." Kit opens his mouth, but it's my words filling the open air between us. "Kitty here once shoved a playing die so far up his nose that the royal physician nearly gave up on retrieving it." Peyton's hand flies up to cover her gaping mouth. Now it's Kit's turn to shake his head at me. "You seem to be forgetting the part where you dared me to do it." Pei laughs, eyes crinkling in the sun as the coach continues its rattling across the cobblestones. She points an accusing finger beside her. "Well, didn't you dare Kai to climb the willow back by the gardens? And he fell, breaking his arm?" Her smile turns on me as she awaits Kit's answer. Except there is none. Kit's expression grows subtly grim, shifting into something slightly sharper than the smile he once wore. "I hadn't realized he told you about that." "Yes," Peyton says slowly, unsurely. "In passing." He turns away, looking out into the moving landscape beside us. "Was that before or after the final trial?" I tense slightly, not because his tone is threatening. No, quite the opposite. The words are heavy, weighed down by something far worse than anger. And that something tears at the part of me that betrays him, the part of my heart that beats for his betrothed behind his back. He wants to know when I shared that intimate detail of myself, and if it was while I was meant to hate her. "Before," Peyton answers softly, speaking the truth but only half of it. Kit nods, attempting to seem unruffled with a swift redirecting of the subject. His voice sounds suddenly tired. I see. Well, it's safe to say that Kai and I are likely equal in our stupidity over the years. I nod along, hoping my fading smile doesn't betray the sadness I suddenly feel. The Kit I saw mere minutes ago was a glimpse of the boy I grew up with, the boy I loved before I'd even understood the meaning of the word. And I wish so badly to hold on to that familiar version of him, rip the crown from his head before it seeps into the body beneath. Payton is the kink in our relationship that we can't quite iron out. Despite all that has happened, it seems that Kit still feels something for her. Perhaps that is why she shies away, grows distant in our presence, because he knows I feel for her just the same. Our brotherly bond falters in the face of her. The coach rumbles down the road as we return to a more comfortable silence. By now, the scenery surrounding us has shifted from an assortment of trees to a line of grand houses. We've entered the higher class section of the city, an extravagant strip that most offensive elites call home. Payton shifts uncomfortably as we turn down the first street. Looming mansions and well-manicured shops cast large shadows over us. Several marching Imperials join our procession as we slow our pace over the cobblestones. At the echoing sound of clopping hooves and stomping feet, aliens begin to spill out of their homes. They frame the road in their fine clothing, some even holding the flyers that were scattered across the city. It's mostly indifference on the faces we first roll past, though it quickly morphs into variations of disgust and betrayal at the sight of their future queen. It wouldn't hurt to smile, Payton, Kit murmurs as he raises a hand to wave at the growing crowd. As if shaken from her stupor, Pay nods absent-mindedly before mustering a small smile. The wave of her hand is sure, but I don't miss the trembling fingers she tries to still. I drum my own on the seat beside me, a distraction from the anger that surges whenever I see her panic, and she has every reason to. As a traitor, she was paraded through this crowd, spit on by the mouths that now scowl her. These were the same people who hatefully welcomed her back into Ilia on our way to the castle. She was humiliated on these very streets, degraded by elites who loathed her the moment they discovered she was not one of them. And even now, they do the same. Though this time looks different. Payton is not shuffling behind my horse bound by rope, bloody and broken. No, she sits tall in the coach, cloaked in finery and crowned with a shiny new title. Yet, silently, they sneer at her. They see nothing but what she was, a traitor, and what she will always be, an ordinary. As we continue our slow crawl down the street, I sit quietly within the chaos surrounding us. My eyes stray to Kit, looking kingly as he waves and smiles at the crowd. Adoration still fills the gazes of those around us the moment they land on him. He has always been so loved by this kingdom. But it's Payton who I study. Helpless to keep from staring at her, she remains composed despite the occasional shout from the crowd. Harder still to stomach is the way Kit continually leans against her, a show for his subjects. They are betrothed. Now they must act like it. And here I sit, unable to stop it, unable to do anything but watch them slowly become each other's forever. They wave, they smile, they look every bit the happy couple. Kit sighs, his following mutter a spilled thought that was likely not intended for us. So few. Eager to take a breath from her stiff smile, Payton turns towards him. What? Oh, it's nothing. Kit clears his throat. I just remember there being more offensive elites out here. It must be my mind playing tricks. Or they'd rather stay inside than see me, Payton offers between the teeth she is baring at the crowd. I blow out of breath when we round the final street corner, and the multitude of faces begin to blur behind us. Kit relaxes in his seat. See? That wasn't so bad. I drag a hand down my face. Yes, It was riveting. Pei's eyes meet mine, stripping me bare with a single swipe of them. Shockingly enough, I find gratitude lingering in her gaze, thanking me for enduring this alongside her. And suddenly, the look of relief she wears at my mere presence proves to be reward enough. You did well. At Kit's clipped words, her eyes abandon mine to find his. I doubt they agree, she says with a look over her shoulder at the massive blurry bodies. Kit, they will never accept me as their queen. I can't seem to tell whether he liked hearing his name from her lips. Yes, they will. His tone is stern. It just takes time. Time? She almost laughs. This kingdom has been without ordinaries for over 3 decades. From the looks of it, they will need much longer than that to adjust. Therein lies the truth of Payden's motivation. The ordinaries. What point is saving Ilia if it remains segregated? Her purpose is freedom for those like her, not the saving of a hateful kingdom. I lean forward, hands on bent knees. Why don't we discuss this back at the castle? In private. Payden's eyes lift the procession in front of us and where exactly it's headed. We're going back? Now? Her head whips towards Kit, hair glinting in the sunlight. What about the slums? Kit's gaze slides to mine, uncertain. Well, the parades always remain in the upper city. But that is my home, she says slowly. That is where the remaining ordinaries will be. Is this not a celebration of the union that will unite elites and ordinaries? Her voice grows firm. I took you to the slums. Remember? I remember you using me to discover the tunnels beneath our castle, Kit says coolly, and disguising your true intentions behind wanting to show me your home. She grabs his hand, and I nearly flinch at the genuine movement. And for that, I'm sorry. I never wanted to use you like that, but helping the resistance find a way into the bowl was all I could do. She shakes her head, voice suddenly soft. I wasn't a queen who could change this kingdom with the snap of her fingers. I was an ordinary. I am an ordinary. And I showed you a piece of myself that day. Before Callum's council, I showed you that the people in those slums are your people too. She slides her hand from his. Or has power already made you forget that fact? I still at her words. There it is. That certain boldness only she possesses. I didn't get the chance to learn exactly what had happened between them, not before Kit had locked himself away and sent me across the scorches to find her. But I knew the betrayal ran deeper than the death of our father. And now I understand. Kit likely blames himself for that battle in the bowl, for being fooled into showing a resistance member exactly how to get into the arena unseen. He blames himself for getting swept up in her. You're right, Kit says slowly. A sort of placidness falls over his features. I should have known you would say that. My eyes flick between them, but he doesn't look at me. His words have horses halting, men obeying, Pei's smile growing. Turn the coaches around. We're going to the slums.
Chapter 9. Payden. The smell alone tells me that we have arrived at Loot Alley. I never thought I'd miss the stench of fish, sweat, and bodily fluids, but here I am, smiling despite it. The wide market street hums with life and vibrance. Merchants haggle behind their carts while children weave around them, evading shouting mothers. All of it is perfectly untouched. Perfectly as it was when I was struggling to survive within it. At the sight of the long entourage, carts begin rolling out of the way while shoppers scuttle behind. The homeless that inhabit these slums begin to peer out from the many alleys branching off Loot, bored enough to let their curiosity drag them onto the street. It is a flurry of color, this jostling parade. Bright emerald banners flap against the belly of our coach and everyone surrounding it. Ilya's flag is raised above a row of sleek horses, that swirling symbol rippling in the breeze. Shimmers manipulate the sunbeams to create a dazzling display of speckled light that drips down our coach and dances across the cobblestones. My smile comes easily here, despite never doing so before. Perhaps some small part of me was homesick for this shithole I grew up in. Or maybe it's because I understand these people. They are elites, yes, but they are also outcasts. Here lie the mundanes, the poor, and the few ordinaries still left in this kingdom. And one of them has just returned. I wave at the shocked faces sliding by. They don't look at me with disgust like the elites outside the slums do. The most emotion I'm offered is confusion or indifference. When looking at me, they likely see themselves. I was living right beside them, stealing from right under their noses not too long ago. My eyes scan the packed crowd of tired faces staring back blankly. There are so many of them, all fighting for the same food and shelter. I wonder how many ordinaries are hidden among them, blending in with hunched shoulders and a broken will. I hope they see me now. Every smile, every wave, every sacrifice I've made for them. My eyes light up at the sight of a crumbling building. That's Maria's shop there, I point, directing the boys' attention to my sudden enthusiasm. I used to steal her sticky buns and fabric before climbing up the chimney to escape. I smile at the memory. The sticky buns were for both of us, but the fabric was obviously for Adina. I trail off, but the feel of watchful eyes on me forces more words from my mouth. So I've had a lot of practice climbing up chimneys, even when I hate small spaces. I shoot a pointed look at Kai. Which is why I didn't burn to death when you lit my house on fire. My search had to be thorough, darling, he muses. Don't take it too personally. His words are casual, perfectly playing the part of dutiful enforcer. But I see the apology hidden in the gaze he keeps pinned on me. See the promise we share. Pretend. With a realistic rolling of my eyes, I turn my attention back on the gawking crowd. I continue my routine of waving and my smile falls slightly. I know we're halfway down the street when the bloody post comes into sight. The wooden block is stained a sickening shade of red, drenched in the blood of dozens. It stands as an example, or rather, whipping practice for the Imperials. The faint scars flecking my lower back seem to sting at the sight of it. My clumsy fingers were the cause of many slashes across my skin. That is, until I got good enough to steal from the very Imperials who made me bleed. Peyton? I turned towards the voice, finding Kai's concerned gaze on me. Are you all right? Yes, I say calmly. Just reminiscing. His eyes climb over my shoulder then, and I can see the exact moment he realizes what it is I'm talking about. A cool mask slips over his features, concealing what I know to be that terrifying, icy rage simmering beneath. His mouth opens, perhaps to ask who it was that stood over my crumpled body and let the whip crack. Perhaps the enforcer will demand to know how many times I found myself at that post, or, better yet, admit he never noticed the scars on my back despite running his hands over them plenty of times. Damn the king sitting beside me. But I never find out what it was he meant to say. Instead, he dives over me when the explosions erupt. I'm thrown against the floor of the coach, Kit toppling beside me as Kai's body shields the both of us. My ears ring from the impact, drowning out the screams I know echo all around. Lifting my cheek from the dirty floor, I blink blurry, watering eyes. The burst of light momentarily blinded me, but as my vision slowly returns, muffled sound follows. Screams. Pained, guttural screams rip through the ringing in my ears. I bolt upward, pushing at the limbs pinning me down. I know it's his calloused hand that wraps around my wrist even before the order leaves his lips. Stay down! I barely hear his shout over the chaos consuming us, over the deafening panic rising within me. What the hell is happening? I must have croaked these words aloud because Kai is suddenly answering, Bombs, man-made. Then he's barking orders once again, morphing back into the enforcer he was created to be. My head pounds, whether from the impact or from my racing thoughts, I'm not sure. Each breath comes in quick, shallow pants. Who is behind this? Kai's orders, once muffled and distant, grow clearer. On me! I can see nothing but the billowing black smoke wafting above the coach, but know enough to determine he's just assigned a group of Imperials to surround the king and his future bride. He looks down at me then, eyes flicking between my wide ones. Stay here. You're going to be fine. He doesn't let himself linger any longer before jumping from the coach and into the thick smoke. I shudder when another explosion shakes the coach, followed by an eruption of screams all around. Horses bolt past in a panicked trance, free to weave through the chaos without their riders. Sitting up suddenly, I meet Kit's worried gaze. Imperials surround us, acting as a shield against the horrors beyond. Kit remains stiffly on the floor, following the orders of his enforcer. And rightfully so. He is the king, after all. But I am no queen. Not yet. All I can smell is burning flesh and thick smoke. All I can hear are terrified screams and the thudding of my heart. All I can think is that this is my home. These were my people long before I was told to rule over them. These screaming slummers chose me to go into the purging trials because they saw hope for one of them to become something more. And I have become so much more. I offer one last look at my betrothed. He must see it in my eyes. The hurt, the determination, the tangible need to do something other than sit here. Payton, don't! I jump from the coach before his hand is able to grasp my own. The circle of Imperials have their backs to us, and I don't hesitate before sweeping the feet out from under one blocking my path. He falls with a thud, allowing me to bolt past despite the shouts ringing out behind. I skid to a stop at the horror surrounding me. Chunks of stone careen from crumbling buildings lining the street, shattering atop the cobblestones, and tearing screams from the throats of scuttling figures. Flames lick over dozens of carts to melt coins and burn the livelihoods atop them. I spin slowly, taking in the street I once called home. Bodies scatter the ground, some twitching while others lie stone still. A shaky hand rises to cover my mouth, and the sob growing within it. Blood paints the street, blending with the fire to create a horrific depiction of death itself. I don't know what to do, how to help. A soft whimper sounds beside me. I whirl, finding a bloody boy staring up at me mere steps away. I'm skidding to his side, sinking to my knees in the pool of blood surrounding him. His pale skin is sheened with sweat, breath shallow beneath the crimson bubbling from his chest. A shard from a nearby building is wedged between his ribs. I swallow my sob and place shaking hands around the wound, trying to stall the blood as best I can. I'm sorry, I whisper, tears stinging my eyes. I'm so sorry. You're going to be okay. The boy's honey eyes simply stare into mine. He doesn't cry out, doesn't beg for life. He only stares, preparing to meet his bloody end. Honey. Those eyes are like honey, so similar to her sweet gaze. Suddenly, it's Adina dying before me all over again, and all over again I cannot save her. A tear slides down my dirty cheek. Blood oozes between my fingers, nausea swelling with every second the sticky liquid stains my skin. But I don't dare move my hands. And just like I had with Adina, I tell this boy that he is going to be fine. I spew lies, spin a happy ending into existence, even as tears slip from my burning eyes. And when he takes his final breath, gaze trained on the sky, it's as though I'm back in that pit, cradling her dead body. Death steals the boy from my incapable hands, oddly gentle in the way he halts this straining heart. My mouth opens, a cry on the tip of my tongue. But my arms are being yanked back, fingers sliding from his wound. I feel numb in the rough hands that wrap around me. My dress is soaked in blood, the drenched hem dripping a path behind my dragged body. Damn it, Pei. You never follow orders, do you? His voice is harsh, but I hear the tinge of sorrow lacing every word. I let the familiar arms cling to my waist, let Kai nearly carry me back to the coach. My unfocused gaze sweeps over the still scrambling bodies tripping over those littering the ground. Loot is in shambles. My home is in shambles. And so is my heart.
Edric Azar. For every end, there is always a beginning. The king would come to realize, many years later and thousands of steps beyond the ones he currently takes, that this was the start to his impending demise. Edric sets a formidable pace through the twisting gut of his pristine castle. As a child, the coiling corridors used to taunt him, trap the princeling in a confusing loop with every corner he rounded. Even now, it reminds him horribly of the maze that is his mind, and how any word that enters through the shifting gate, his gaze, will meet a stony wall before breaking into a series of jumbled syllables. Or rather, what his father liked to call a disgraceful lack of competency. But his father is no longer here, leaving behind only the memory of a sniffling boy who struggled to read. Edric's polished shoes tread swiftly past the servants who slave over them every evening, the feet within navigating him confidently through the castle. A distant memory indeed. It was long after ridding his son of this shameful illness that Landon Azar finally met his end, though it was regrettably far more pleasant than Edric's cruel journey to literacy. His soul drifted peacefully from the frail body it had inhabited, which seemed entirely too gentle a death for such a harsh man. But with the kingdom now squirming in the palm of his hand, Edric thinks fondly of that fruitful time with his father, feeling a growing sort of gratitude for the man who pushed him along his path towards power. Cruelty molded him into a king, where kindness would have only crippled him. The crown curls atop his head, burrowing into the blonde strands of hair like a drowsy mutt. Each gaping hallway drips with the honeyed rays of sunset, seemingly slowing his pace as if they were clinging to his shoes. But the king pushes past every oozing puddle of light, because there is little in this life that Edric loves more than power, and he is heading right for it. The queen is rarely seen outside her quarters this late into the pregnancy. Even still, Iris was hidden away long before the growing of a spare in her womb. Love and paranoia are quite fond of each other, habitually mingling into a suffocating protection. Edric pauses before the familiar slab of wood that separates them. He often finds this moment to feel like the end of a maze he's been stumbling through since he was a boy. Here, there is no taunting castle or befuddled mind. It all falls away at her feet. It takes 4 beats of the king's fluttering heart for the door to swing open. Iris has always been the type of beautiful that can only be inarticulately described as breathtaking. As a descendant of an Isrami queen, she bears their tanned, freckled skin and bright eyes. And yet, Iris Moira had never stepped foot on the seaside kingdom's rocky soil. Over a century ago, a family feud had divided the royals of Isram, forcing several of Iris's ancestors, whose claim to the throne was nearly as weak as their relationship with the woman who sat upon it, to settle in Ilia. A handful of years had passed before the plague swept through, isolated the kingdom, and gifted the descendants of those bickering royals more power than they could ever have earned with a crown on their head. Edric, with his lust for power, married the woman before him nearly a decade after the purging. With every elite being contained to Ilia, no powerless princess beyond the border would be allowed to taint the king's line further. But the pairing of Iris's royal blood and rare ability was shocking enough to finally entice him into settling down. Iris was stunning like the sea, as though her skin were seeped in salt water until it shimmered. Edric tells her as much, smiling when the words draw out a warm flush atop her cheekbones. That golden hair cascades down her body and over the large swelling of her belly, like water carving a trickling path around a stone. She gently tugs the king towards her, pressing soft lips against his with a lingering sigh. Once released from his wife's captivating clutches, Edric begrudgingly glances around the room. "Did you dismiss the servants again?" Iris rests a delicate hand atop her stomach.
"I'm fine, Ed. They don't need to be swarming me every waking moment."
"Iris." Edric smooths a hand across the fabric draping her rounded belly. "You know they are needed for your safety. This baby is coming any day now, and for your protection." The king stops talking then, because he recognizes the look on her face. Iris is gentle in soul and body, but her expressions are less so. "What?" Edric insists at the narrowing of those brilliant blue eyes. She takes a breath, the type that sounds like loving someone despite their flaws.
"All you do is protect me. And of course, I am grateful for that, but—"
Iris raises a hand, somehow encapsulating the entire kingdom with a single gesture.
"But it has been years since the people have heard about me, seen me. For all they know, I died shortly after giving birth to Kit."
"And I would rather them think that," the king utters slowly, "than use you against me. I won't risk an enraged ordinary putting you in danger to hurt me." Iris pads slowly atop the carpet, her loose nightgown dragging green fabric behind her feet.
"The purging was over a decade ago. Your paranoia cannot keep me trapped here forever."
She grasps his face, cupping him in the warmth of her presence.
"In our 5 years of marriage, I have done little more than hide away."
Edric rubs a hand behind his neck, a habit his father plagued him with. It's as though every prickle of agitation builds beneath the skin there and chips away at his sanity. Ordinaries remain in this kingdom out of spite, hiding until their swelling anger has them committing some final act of violence. They all die in the end, as the weak always do. But it is the defiance of it, the constant worry that his queen may get caught in the crossfire. "Soon," the king sighs. He pulls Iris's soft hands into his own. "I will free you of these walls shortly. Once I've disposed of these lingering ordinaries, you will be safe. They are a mistake I am remedying, and the elites are just as eager to be rid of them." The gentle queen ponders this for a long moment.
"Good, because I would like very much to show our child to the kingdom."
She guides her husband's hand along the swollen curve of her belly.
"The castle may be good at keeping secrets, but I am—"
"Not." Edric finishes for her, knowing his wife more than he has ever wanted to know anyone. "I know, Ree."
"But despite it all, I love you."
She draws a circle above the king's thumping heart as she says it, just as she has so many times before. "And thank plague for that," Edric responds earnestly. Iris's soft laugh morphs into a hiss when she clutches her belly. The king shudders at the sight of his wife in pain, shifting suddenly from stoic royal to concerned spouse. Threading an arm around her waist, he guides his groaning queen to her bed. It is only after adjusting her legs and propping a pillow behind Iris's back that Edric allows himself a long breath. "Are you all right?" The question is laced with his own terror for her.
Yes, I will be fine.
Sweat glistens on her brow.
Just labor pains, dear.
The king nods in an attempt to expel that lingering fear within him. His father always hated when he showed any sign of weakness. And Iris is exactly that. Clearing his throat and smoothing the worry between his brows, Edric lets his gaze fall to the bedside table. Her beloved jewelry box sits there, filled with each of the queen's coveted pieces. Iris has a passion for beauty, and despite her confinement to the castle, she has never missed an opportunity to sparkle in even the dullest of halls. But that pristine box is not what holds the king's attention. No, it is the pink rose sprawled peacefully atop the wooden lid, and its accompanying folded piece of parchment. Iris notes every emotion that crawls across her husband's face. First, interest. Second, curiosity. These are both followed by a tumble of more sinister feelings. Scrutiny, concern, jealousy.
A gift from one of my handmaids.
The queen answers flippantly, though no question was voiced.
I rarely get to walk in the gardens, so she thought to bring a bit of the gardens to me.
With her belly wrapped in one arm, Iris uses the other to toss the gift beneath the jewelry box's lid. She traps the flower within the wooden walls so simply that Edric won't spare it another thought. Instead, he will continue on until met with the end that begins in this very moment. So, when Iris cries out in pain, and a dampness spreads across the covers beneath her, the end is very near for Edric Azar. At least, for that dwindling bit of warmth within him.
Chapter 10. Payden. I sit numbly beside the fire, enveloped in its heat. The blood coating my dress and hands is nearly dry now, as are the tears that stream down my face. Now there is nothing left but a slow, simmering rage as I sit silently in this study. Hushed voices seep around the cracked door, stealing my attention from the trapped flames.
Where is she?
I sit up slightly at that voice.
I want to see her. I haven't been able to since...
I move quickly, tripping over fumbling feet. I'm suddenly standing before the door, cutting off his words with nothing more than the mere sight of me. The smile that slides to his lips is a sad one, filled with an abundance of apologies while looking like a sigh of relief. I fling myself into Callum's arms without a second thought. He holds me tight, cradling the broken pieces of me with gentle care.
It's good to see you too,
he whispers into my hair, making me smile against his shoulder. I pull away, looking him over. His pale eyes shine, searching mine and likely the mind behind them. This theory is only confirmed when he nods slowly, blonde hair dull in the dim light.
You're welcome. It was Kit that discovered the truth. I simply helped him get there.
I smile, relieved to know that he heard every echo of gratitude bouncing around my skull, because I'm not sure I could put it into words at the moment. He has helped change everything, helped turn my father's hope into a reality. Well, not quite my father. Just the man who raised me. At that sudden thought, Callum's brows rise slightly in surprise. I sigh, shaking my head. I'll explain later, but for now, thank you. For everything. I return his nod with another small smile. I just wanted you to hear me say it out loud. My eyes trail over Callum's shoulder, finding Kit and Kai conversing softly. I step aside, gesturing for them to continue their murmuring in the study behind me. Kit nods in silent agreement, striding past to take a seat behind his desk. Callum follows quietly, leaving only Kai standing before the doorway. He had carried me up into the castle, started the fire that warmed my numb limbs. Then he'd kissed my forehead and slipped out the door, likely dealing with more pressing enforcer duties than the crumbling queen-to-be. He watches me now, an ache in his gaze that mirrors my own. I want nothing more than to be held by him, enveloped in the comfort of his arms. He is a weakness I am not supposed to indulge in, not in this life, at least. I can't imagine what he sees in this moment. Likely running makeup and dirt-stained cheeks, tangled hair and blood-drenched skin I'm struggling to ignore. And yet, he looks at me with a relieved sort of adoration, ensuring I'm all right with a lingering swipe of his gaze. Our fingers brush as he steps past, leaving me standing in the doorway. I take a long, steadying breath before turning to retake my seat beside the fire. Only then do I allow my thoughts to stray back to the horrors I'd seen. My sharp words cut through the men's conversation with ease. What the hell happened out there? Kai leans against the desk, shaking his head.
The explosions came from man-made bombs. 6 of them. I haven't seen those since
the first trial ball, I finish for him. My gaze lands on Callum. Only the Resistance had use for those. Why go through all the trouble of making bombs when an ignite could do just as much damage? Lowering himself into a chair, Callum sighs.
If I had to guess, I would say that this attack was meant to be a message more than anything.
All that for a message? I hiss. Innocent people died. Kit coughs into his fist, likely due to the inhaled smoke.
How many casualties, Kai? 9, so far.
My eyes fall shut as he adds a low,
but dozens are injured and being tended to by healers.
My eyes flutter open to the sight of Kit rubbing a hand down his face.
Do continue, Callum. I'd like to hear this theory. Well, it wasn't an attack on the royals themselves.
Callum gestures around the room to our very much alive bodies.
Which leads me to believe that this was an attack on the meaning behind the parade. On, well, the future of this kingdom.
There won't be a future if our borders remain closed and ordinaries remain banished. Kit huffs under his breath.
The people don't want Peyton as their queen.
I swivel towards the foreign voice, finding a minty head of hair in the doorway. The court's spokesman steps into the room, his clothing finely pressed against dark skin.
Ah, Easel, welcome.
Kit gestures towards him while addressing the rest of us.
As head of my court, I figured it best to hear what he has to say on the matter. Or rather, what the people are saying. Your Majesty.
Easel tips his head towards the king.
The people are in a state of unrest.
They don't want an ordinary as their queen, I say bitterly.
Well, you did kill the king that ensured an elite society, Kit mutters.
Callum, his voice distant, adds,
And that is not the only royal you've killed.
My eyes dart to his. What are you talking about? He opens his mouth quickly, folding stiff arms behind his back.
A piece of Kit died that day, did it not?
Gesturing in the direction of the West Tower, he adds solemnly,
Along with the king's wife, now sick with grief.
Guilt sinks its teeth into my chest, gnawing at my conscience. For the first time, I feel a twinge of shame for bestowing death upon the king. Not for his sake, but for those around him. You're right. Swallowing, I glance over at the brothers, having wounded them both in very different ways. I am sorry, again, for the hurt I caused you, Kit. My gaze flicks to the enforcer beside him. And for the grief that has sickened your mother. There is a long, contemplative pause from the 3 of them. Kai nods his forgiveness as Kit breaks the unbearable silence.
Thank you, Peyton.
The words are stiff, but spoken nonetheless. And within the next breath, he's returned diligently to the conversation at hand.
So why not go after Peyton if she is what they see as the problem?
It's Easel who answers.
This is now much bigger than her, my king. The whole kingdom has been suddenly told to welcome ordinaries when they now barely tolerate the multiplying mundanes. No matter the reasoning, most refuse to accept this.
Do they not realize what is at stake here? I scoff. Ilya will fall without resources.
They realize,
Easel nods slowly.
But ignorance was their bliss. Some admired the late king's persistence in ridding Ilia of ordinaries rather than saving it from collapsing. Kai crosses his arms, the sleeves hugging them dried with blood. The defensive and offensive elites are turning against the entirety of the slums. I've seen the shift over the past few years. It's not just ordinaries they want out of the city. His eyes meet mine. The entirety of the slums is beneath them now. Well, that is no surprise to me, I breathe. Anyone in the slums has known that for years. My father even wrote about it, how the mundanes will soon become the new ordinaries. Callum's eyes meet mine, seeing right through me to learn of my father's journal. I've never been more thankful for his mind-reading ability than in this moment. I don't even have to address the questioning look in his eyes. He can go right ahead and find the answer within my mind. They already are, Kit states this evenly. Their numbers are growing, and the rest of the elites only see them as a weakness. Just like the ordinaries, I finish for him. Easel nods. Kai stiffens. Callum remains stoic as ever. So, Kit says slowly, do we have any idea who exactly is behind this? Likely a group of elites who think they're doing the kingdom a favor. Kai's tone is dry. And also think they have a sense of humor by copying the resistance bombs. Handmade bombs are harder to trace than an ignite, I realize softly. There is no one to interrogate, no way to know who threw them. The study fills with silence until Kit dares to break it. What does the court want us to do about this? How do we get the people to accept Peyton as their queen? A lock of Easel's long hair slips over a broad shoulder. Peyton must prove herself to all of Ilia. Prove she is strong enough to rule, even as an ordinary. That is the only way we believe they will accept her. I almost laugh. And how do we plan on doing that? His silence is ominous. And when he finally speaks, I understand why. The people want to send you back into your own trials.
Chapter 11. Kai. I know death. There's something intimate about the ending of a life. Over the years, death and I have come to share a special bond. But fear is a far less familiar feeling, one that has never gripped me as tightly as it had in that study. Callum agreed with Easel's proposition and urged Kit to do the same. But my focus was wholly on her. I watched Peyton ponder this deadly decision, watch the agreement form on those pretty lips of hers. Rage was a rumble in my chest that rose to my tongue, shouting that she can't be serious. I stood before her, fought the urge to cup her face and told her she cannot enter another set of trials. I simply wouldn't let her risk everything for a kingdom that would rather see her die. But I should have known better than to give Peyton Gray an order. She is not one of my soldiers, after all. No, she is so much more. That was when she looked me in the eyes, took death by the hand, and declared once again that she would enter herself into these new trials. It's the only way, she had said sternly, though her face was pale. I have to prove myself to them. And if you die, I'd shot back, chest heaving. Her next words still plague my thoughts more than a day later. Then they will have been right about me. I'm a weakness. The ring feels foreign on my finger. I pull my hands behind my back, hiding them from the sea of prying eyes beneath the dais, fidgeting with the thick enforcer's ring. I can practically feel the blood that has been spilled by those who wore it before me. I blow out a breath, keeping my gaze on the large throne room doors ahead. I, and the rest of the court for that matter, have been begrudgingly awaiting our king to grace us with his presence. The minutes drag by, leaving me alone atop the dais and very much on display for the entire court. By the time I've considered borrowing a veil's power from the crowd to simply vanish from this unfortunate situation, the doors swing open. In steps the king. The golden crown glitters atop his head, bleeding into the hair beneath. His outfit is simple at first glance, refined at second. The buttoned shirt he wears is pressed perfectly, tucked into equally pristine green pants, but every feature is enhanced by what he carries on his arm. Her hand is threaded through his bent elbow, tan skin glowing against the white dress hugging her closely. The neckline encircles her throat, hiding what I know to be a branding of my father's doing above her heart. Shoulders exposed, waist cinched tightly, hair waving around her ears. She looks equally youthful and thoroughly weathered by the world. It's a contradiction she wears confidently. But the draping white fabric is a message to this court, a reminder piercing my heart. She is a bride to be, but not mine. I swallow at the sight. Her eyes are on mine as she steps up onto the dais beside me. I stare too long, too desperately to be nothing more than her enforcer. With more than a little effort, I pry my attention from her, returning it to the door even as Kit begins speaking. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, thank you for your patience. I'm sure you are all very curious as to why I've called you here today. His voice carries over the intrigued faces filling the room. As you all now know, there was an attack in the slums during our parade. Most of you will likely not find this to be grievous news, but you should. At the sound of his deep breath, my eyes flick to him. Exhaustion smothers his features. I know that my engagement to Peyton Gray, along with the sudden acceptance of ordinaries, will be difficult to adjust to, but I will not tolerate outright acts of defiance against my decrees, especially those I make for all our sakes. His voice softens slightly. But I do understand how difficult this change is, and how this kingdom does not wish to accept Peyton as their queen. Despite the necessity of this arrangement, I offer you the opportunity to judge her strength and see for yourself if she is capable of becoming a ruler. Murmurs ripple throughout the room, forcing Kit to raise his voice. Peyton Gray will once again compete in a series of trials. Giddy gasps ring out at his words, followed by bloodthirsty nods of approval. This is what they wanted, and their king provides. These trials, Kit continues, will be for the future queen alone. They will be structured around the 3 B's you all know my father to have lived by. It is bravery, benevolence, and brutality that make a great ruler. These events will test each of those qualities. This will allow Peyton to prove herself worthy of the throne and your loyalty. The court is thrilled to find their proposition becoming a reality, likely because the outcome will mean certain death for an ordinary. Peyton barely survived the first set of trials she was thrown into. Even still, Ilya may not deign to accept her if she makes it out of these ones alive. Once again, we'll be posting flyers all across the city, Kit states over the whispering crowd. This test is for Ilyans alone. As far as the surrounding kingdoms know, we've gracefully accepted our ordinary queen. And I hope that will prove to be true in due time. For all our sakes. There is a pause before his next damning declaration. The first trial will take place in 3 days' time. This solution seems to satisfy the court. They will happily sit back and watch her die, smile if she meets the death they think she deserves. But I will only survive this life if she does. She steps forward then, every gaze snapping to her. The dress clings to her in a way I long to. Eyes sweep over the crowd that I now desperately wish I was in. She is striking in the most formidable of ways. Sharp like the pointed stare she gives. The tongue I've tasted. The end of her dagger that's worn my blood. The words that leave her lips are stern, possessing the subtlety that anger lacks. I know I am not who you want as your queen. In fact, I did not ask for this. I've dreamed of nothing in this life except to survive it. Her gaze travels around the room, bright and bold. But I do this for the hope of a kingdom far better than this one. One where ordinaries and every ranking of elites live side by side. One where we still have a kingdom to call home. She takes another step forward, forcing me to fight the awe beginning to slip through my mask of indifference. I will show you my bravery, my benevolence, my brutality. I will survive these trials, and so much more. Still, you will likely hate me. She lifts her chin, expression deceitfully calm. So, bow at my feet with a sneer if you must. I won't see it with your face to the ground. My lips twitch, utterly amazed by her. Looping her arm back through Kit's, she turns one last time towards the crowd. If it is power you seek from me, then so be it. Kit wears an expression of muted surprise as he nods slowly to the court in silent dismissal. But they don't move, nor do the loose lips they all possess.
Let's pause here for a few moments and let the music calm your thoughts. This free audiobook is made with care for you.
No, they are all too busy staring at her. And so am I, as she strides, arm hooked within the king's, out of the throne room.
Trolley Sofa is here with special introductory prices. Hurry, offers end soon at SCS.
Wellness is very important to me, and so is everything I sign.
Chapter 12. Payton. I stare at the shadows clinging to the canopy above me. Despite the impressive comfort of the bed beneath my back, I can't seem to let sleep claim me. Thoughts swirl behind my eyes, making it impossible to shut them even as tiredness tugs at my body. I can think of nothing but my reunion with doom. My future haunts my present, and it is grim. I have to endure another set of trials. Only this time, I'll be facing death alone. Fear twists in my gut, tugging at the heart I'm not sure will still be beating after this. I nearly died in the purging trials more than once. The thought of willingly stepping back into an awaiting grave has me panicking. Worse than the imminent danger is the constant reminder of Adina's death. I may have survived the last set of trials, but my light did not. My A left me to decorate the sky, and I don't know how to live, how to survive, without her at my side. Sweat dampens my brow as panic swells within me. I can't go back. I can't lose any more of that warmth Adina planted within me. What if I'm forced to kill? Coat my hands with more blood. I don't know what I'm capable of without Adina's light to scatter my darkness. These trials could ask anything of me, though it is fitting that the 3 Bs I'll be tested on belong to the king I killed. Ironic that they have now become the way I will prove myself to rule the kingdom he built, or rather, rebuild it. I roll over, spitting stray strands of hair from my mouth. My eyes squeeze shut as I attempt to find sleep one last time. 10 lazy beats of my heart, and I'm crawling out of bed. My mind aches for a distraction from the deafening thoughts, and my body, tired as it is, itches to move. Or maybe I'm tired of feeling useless, feeling trapped in this life I don't know how to live. Plagues. I was just beginning to figure out how to live the unfortunate one I had before everything went to shit. I'm suddenly striding down a dark hall, arms crossed over the thin sleeping shirt I wear. The most I'd done before stepping out of my room was slip on my boots. Changing before this impulsive escapade might have been a good idea, but I'm already nearing the door I know leads to the training yard beyond. The guards stationed there shift on tired feet at the sight of me, their masks doing nothing to conceal the clear disdain beneath. They know better than to stand in my way, not with the ring that glitters on my finger. So with my head raised stubbornly high, I stride past and push through the door. The night is cooler than I'd anticipated, each whisper of wind pebbling the skin on my bare arms. Moonlight pools on the path long worn into the ground. Following it, I lift my gaze to the black sky draped above and speckled with stars. They seem to blink back at me, leaning in to help guide my steps. The first circle of dirt comes into view, blanketed in shadows. I follow the path, letting it lead me between each training ring. Flickering flame floods the farthest circle of dirt to illuminate a formidable shadow, sharp like the sword he holds. I know who stands within that halo of light. But when a second figure flickers into focus beside him, I falter. Couldn't sleep, but it seems you can't either. Kit. My breath catches. I'd rather not let my betrothed know I came out here to meet his brother. With that in mind, I crouch low to the ground and creep silently to a ring beside the brothers. Shadows clothe me from sight until I've slipped behind the weapons rack. Blowing out of breath, I peek through one of the many gnarled holes in this wall of wood, my gaze narrowing on the king and his enforcer. I thought you might be out here, Kit was saying. It's good to be back in this training yard with you, just like old times. If it were really like old times, Kai muses, you would be sprawled in the dirt already. Kit laughs, a sound so genuine I nearly startle. It's as though I'm suddenly back beside that fountain in the gardens, splashing a boyish prince unashamedly. You think you could still take me, brother? We haven't sparred since you found a better partner. The tips of my ears burn. Come on, Kit. The enforcer's tone is deceptively casual. That was during the purging trials. Things haven't been like that for a long while. Despite knowing the truth of our relationship, Kai's nonchalance still manages to sting me. Besides, he sighs, you're the one who's marrying her. And there is that twinge of jealousy. It is what needs to be done. You understand that. Kit runs a hand through his hair, looking younger beside his brother. For the kingdom. And for us. Kai stifles his scoff. For us? Yes. It's a simple word, yet it holds so much defiance from the king. I know your relationship with father was strained. More than strained, he amends quickly. I don't want that for us. What I want is to be brothers again, without orders you detest shoved between us. And with the Ilya I'm rebuilding, you won't need to hunt down ordinaries anymore. Knowing his brother more than most, he reassures, I won't make you hurt anyone. I can't make out Kai's face in the flickering torchlight, but I know gratitude paints the plains of it. Thank you, brother. Kit nods earnestly, waiting a long moment before speaking again. But after this bombing at the parade, I've been advised to ensure our army is ready for whatever threats may arise, especially now that our borders have opened. You know how Father grew a bit lax with training over the years. He didn't believe we would need to fight very many battles, Kai recalls. My legs ache from kneeling on the hard ground, but I don't dare shift this close to the keen enforcer. I watch as Kit absent-mindedly crushes clumps of dirt beneath his shoe. Now anything could happen, so I need you to focus your attention on rebuilding our forces and training new recruits. New recruits? Kai echoes. I can just make out the smile that transforms the king's tired face. I want you to train ordinaries. My heart stalls its rhythmic beat. After the bombing, Kit continues, it became clear to me how vulnerable ordinaries really are in this kingdom. No shit, I breathe recklessly into the darkness. So I want to offer them the chance to defend themselves. The king takes a breath. They will train with you alongside the other Imperials. Are you serious? Kai stumbles over the string of words, holding in his shocked laugh. Don't mess with me, Kitty. I wouldn't dream of it. Kit's chuckle seems to light the darkness. And I already have some ordinaries for you, the few we captured from the bowl after that third trial. Shock sweeps over me. He didn't kill them. Kai echoes my surprise. They're still in the dungeons? I wasn't sure what to do with them, Kit says, sounding as though there is a shrug lodged in his throat. But after that bombing, it seems time they are freed and trained. The enforcer shakes his head. You're really gonna do this? Let them go after what happened? Huh. Kit huffs out a dull laugh. I suppose I am. Clapping a hand on his brother's shoulder, Kai murmurs, I'm proud of you, and I'm honored to help rebuild and protect this kingdom by your side. They look at each other, seemingly untouched since the day I met them. In this moment, their bond resembles the one I thought I had broken, and the realization that they are stronger than my vengeance makes me smile. You and me, brother. Kit takes a slow step back. Always. When he strides back onto the path, I'm forced to press my back against the weapons rack and silently beg that shadows cloak me from the corner of his sight. I don't breathe as my betrothed walks past, not even when Kai's words have him halting. Try to get some sleep. Kit flashes his enforcer a smile. You first, Kai Pai. I wait there until long after the king has vanished and my heartbeat has slowed. Standing on sore legs, I watch Kai rotate a sword in his hand, the motion fluid and precise. His back is to me, bare and slithering with strands of darkness as I step to the ring's edge. When he turns to face me, I'm slightly offended by the lack of surprise at my presence. Couldn't sleep without me? He muses, sword glinting in the flickering light. I frown. How did you know I was here? I knew you couldn't stay away from me for much longer. Don't flatter yourself. My arms cross over the thin shirt I'm suddenly all too aware of. How did you know? He gives me an unsure tilt of his head. I guess I can sense you, in a way. It sounds odd, but the darkness helps me focus. Everything is heightened. Kai waves a hand, as if to slash through the words he's just spoken. I just knew. Yet another perk of being elite, I say, my tone bittersweet. He shakes his head. Well, I'm assuming you heard everything, then? I did. Thought it best he didn't see me out here with you. My foot taps a steady beat atop the dirt. This is good, right? I thought he had killed those ordinaries from the bowl. Kai runs a hand through his tousled hair. It seems good. He seems good. Wanting to train ordinaries is not something I expected from him. I nod distantly, my mind a mess of fractured pieces. Lost among my thoughts, I nearly miss Kai's sly words. Did the burning desire to see me wake you? I slowly steal the space between us, stepping quietly into the ring. My smile is sharp, No, but the sudden urge to hit you did. He looms over me, his bare chest nearly brushing mine. If you want to put your hands on me, just say that. A bead of water falls from the dark sky, splattering my bare shoulder. He watches it roll down my skin before swiping it away with his thumb. His rough palm grazes my arm, leaving a trail of goosebumps behind. I lift a hand, my fingers boldly skimming across his stomach. This seems to startle him enough to suck in a quick breath, and the sound has a satisfied smile curling my lips. The tips of my fingers trail higher, tracing every dip and groove of muscle. He seems to have stopped breathing. My eyes lift to his, and whatever it is he sees within them has the enforcer looking at me as though I've already become his queen. And some possessive part of myself aches to command him to never look away. My touch travels lazily up his chest, fingers outlining the swirling tattoo etched above his pounding heart. The sky cries steadily above, speckling us with water. But Kai barely seems to notice, his attention fully on my hand now twining around his neck. His sword clatters to the ground. Strong arms wrap suddenly around my waist before another drop of rain can fall from the sky. I'm being pulled closer, pressed flush against his solid body. With a tilt of my chin, he murmurs against my lips, "My pretty Pei, tell me you missed me." Our lips brush, and I can taste his desperation for me. I smile. My response is a swift hook of my foot behind his. With a firm tug, I accomplish something few have ever done. I send the enforcer sprawling into the dirt. My voice drifts into the night like the cloud of dust between us. "I missed kicking your ass." Oddly enough, his smile is crooked. "So did I." He attempts to pull me down with him, but I dance away from his grasp with a laugh. I have more trials to train for, so no more distractions. "You started it, Gray." He seems content to stare up at the starry sky, even as it cries steadily. "I was trying to keep my hands to myself." "Well, don't," I offer. "Fight me." My words have him sitting up solemnly, ignoring my request. "I hate that you're being thrown back into this." I feel his head shake. "You should have never agreed to these trials." Well, it was nice to have a choice this time. I swallow my bitterness. Besides, it was the only way. I mean, you saw how the court reacted. Yes, because they want to watch you die. He tears himself off the ground, standing swiftly to his feet. "So I won't," I say, with much more confidence than I feel. "I need to do this. And if I die, then make me a martyr." "A martyr, Payton?" His laugh is void of humor. "Do you even hear yourself? Part of you has already given up before even starting." "I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic." My words are clipped. I'm stunned by how suddenly this conversation escalated. "I could die." He closes the distance between us, pressing rough palms against my cheeks. "So damn the trials. Pei, let me force every person in this kingdom to their knees for you." This is so much bigger than me now. I shake my head in his hold. I have to do this. His hands slip from my face, wet with rain. "Just like you have to marry Kit?" The words hit me hard, as if we were fighting with our fists. It pains me, that look in his eyes, the one that pleads for a different, happier ending to our story. "Yes," I whisper, "just like I have to marry Kit." He lets out a slow, steadying breath. I watch him regain his slipping composure. His next words are blunt, laced with defeat. "Fine. It seems you've already accepted your fate, and I won't be in it." "But I want you in it," I force out. "We just need to be careful. Kit can't see us together. It will only make everything more complicated." "Right." He stiffens slightly. "Pretend." "And if I want to survive this, I should train," I add quickly. Kai takes a step back, his head shaking. The movement is more terrifying than him swinging a sword at me. If you want me to fight you, I won't, Peyton. I told you in that field of poppies how I would never do that again. That when I lay a hand on you, it would only ever be in a caress. Raindrops drip from his lashes, but he doesn't dare blink as he murmurs, and I plan to keep that vow. A long moment passes between us, in which I attempt to fathom just how much he cares for me. And nothing has ever felt so right, vowing to never fight the enforcer again. So I smile up at him, a bead of water sliding down my nose as I attempt to tease. If you were sick of getting your ass kicked, just say that. The corner of his mouth lifts begrudgingly. Oh, is that what you think? Let's just say I can sense it. I lean in, whispering, I'm kind of a psychic. The last thing I see is a shake of his head before the world flips upside down. I squeal when he throws me over his shoulder, hair dangling and face angled towards the now muddy ring. Did you see that coming, little psychic? He calls over the shoulder I'm currently slung over. I laugh despite myself, body swaying with each one of his steps. Where are you taking me? I'm breathless and gripping the waist of his pants for dear life. He's quiet for several steps. Somewhere even the future can't find us. I smile sadly. The willow tree? The willow tree.